Hey, it's Saul with another video, and today I want to talk about a few loose ends left behind in Legion so far. I know it's a bit too soon to talk about the storylines that might have been left open because technically the expansion isn't over, but it's been a while since we've seen some follow-up on a few items, and there's a pretty good chance that we won't see follow-up anytime soon. There are a few things we know we'll confront soon enough. During Legion, we got a bit of a teaser with Queen Ashara, and thank Blizzard for spoiling it, but we'll be fighting her at some point in the next WoW expansion. Odds are good that Prince Ferranzis will return. And we know that after the liberation of Suramar, the City of Wonder will be joining the Horde, giving them more elves, while the Alliance gets also more elves and more goats. Great. But there were a few threads left hanging. That's what today's video is all about, so let's get going. So it took a while, and it's pretty cool that the Titans left Azeroth the way they did after seeing it get super stabbed by Sargeras. That's a big one unto itself, like literally, the next expansion is this mountain-sized loose end that the Titans could have fixed if they just stuck around. But I guess reasons? Well, never mind that, I'm talking about Argus. Chieftain Hitchun was pretty mad at Velen for ditching them some, 10,000 years ago, but now that Velen has returned, he can help put a stop to the Legion and return Argus to its former— oh wait, never mind, yeah, that's kind of embarrassing, right? Not that there was a lot of choice in the matter, but what does happen to Argus now? Granted, there isn't much left on that rock except for maybe some Legion and Titan technology, the once again forgotten Broken Draenei, an asshole robot, restless tormented spirits, and a bunch of void-infested planets in the vicinity. So what's to become of Argus now? Somehow I doubt that the few survivors will turn Argus into the emerald jewel of the great dark beyond. I think everyone who was left there just got hosed, but we don't know for sure. Somewhere nearby is probably the seat of the Pantheon, where the architects of everything good and bad in World of Warcraft are just kind of sitting in chairs. And there's Illidan. What's his role now? We have no idea what's going to happen in that cosmic loft of theirs. We know Illidan isn't going to be some sort of jailer despite what you might think based on data mine text that didn't even end up showing up in game. To my knowledge, Velen doesn't say a thing about him being Sargeras' jailer, and hey, remember, Velen does leave before we, the players, see Illidan whip it out and make ready for a fight. Anyway, we can figure that it's the Pantheon that's keeping Sargeras in check, so where does that leave Illidan? He's kind of a random factor there, just one night elf in the presence of the gods of the Great Dark. It's sort of hard to imagine what his role could be, like he could be an enforcer or like a torturer, but there are a bunch of titans who can probably do a better job. It's like they see him all ready for action and they're like,
the mortals left one behind.
Oh, he's cute. He has wings and horns and stuff. He's like a purple fairy.
Maybe Illidan will be like an actual herald of the Titans to help undo the damage Sargeras did, but if he were, I don't think he'd be doing it by choice. If I'm going to be wrong about any of the loose ends on this list, and by that I mean that there is a strong and fulfilling ending, I pray to the gods that it's this. Artifact weapons. 36 celebrated weapons with quests, lore, and previous history to draw upon. They span across time, dimensions, across the powers that bind, the great dark beyond. Anyway, we as players and champions have given them a lot of our time, and soon we'll be saying goodbye to them in what could be a very unceremonious way. As of now, we don't know exactly what that ending is. Data mined information is, after all, only data mined information. It might be funny looking back at this video a couple months from now, but from the looks of everything, it doesn't seem like we'll get 36 send-offs to go with these 36 weapons. Okay, so maybe with artifacts I'm overstating their importance here. Like the artifact for protection paladins, the Truth Guard. Okay, so that didn't have so awesome of a backstory, but come on. What about the Ashbringer? Call me possessive, but I feel cheated if I had to share the same epilogue. The death of Ysera was one of those holy crap moments that wasn't expected. Even after knowing that we confront the Nightmare Lord in the Emerald Nightmare raid, Nightmare this and that. The death of an aspect is no small thing, and as of Legion, every aspect apart from Alexstrasza has been killed, and we were involved. And sure, I count the Murazan boss in the End Time dungeon too, so damn, we're kind of like murderers. Hashtag we are the old gods. So what is surprising about Ysera's death is that after her little silhouette thing at the end of the Emerald Nightmare raid, there's nothing. In fact, there's very little going on with the Dragonflights in Legion. There's Xenagos, which wraps up really quick, and there's Kalecgos obsessing over Transmog, Chromie obsessing over herself, and Wrathion just sort of standing there, but who shows up when you present the Tears of Elune in Dalaran? Tyrande. I feel bad, they should have called this Ysera's tier instead. The story of Keeper Odin is equal parts fascinating and incomplete. It's easy to forget that he's a Titan keeper. I mean, he seems pretty content with being the boss of his realm and, being kind of an asshole. It's thanks to the efforts of the champions, that's you, that he was freed by Helya and allowed to help defend Azeroth by throwing a spear at a spaceship. You know what he could have also thrown a giant spear at? Everything. But it feels like there could have been so much more done with him and the Keepers during Legion as more active participants. After all, they were Azeroth's defenders against the Black Empire. And maybe they'll play a part during the battle for Azeroth as the story shifts towards the threat of the old gods, but the Keeper's involvement in Legion was something that I guess Blizzard didn't feel like going for. If Legion's first arc wasn't focused on something Blizzard just conjured up, like the Pillars of Creation, and instead made the story about something more known, like restoring the Titan Keeper's strength, maybe we wouldn't have enjoyed the better story, but maybe one that was at least a little more familiar and, well, not literally written in. Once upon a time, there lived a woman by the name of Maiev Shadowsong. Maiev wanted to be the best jailer a jailer could be, and one day she became the jailer of Illidan Stormrage, who's a really nice guy, sort of. One day Illidan broke out of jail, and being such a good jailer, Maiev chased him all the way to another planet and killed him because putting a corpse in jail still counts. But years later, Illidan's body was stolen. And as the jailer of a dead guy, well, she still had her duty, so off she went to somewhere. Next thing we know, she got herself captured and locked up herself in Blackrock Hold. Then later, Illidan's returned to the land of the living, and she played pretty much no part in that. Then next we see her, she's sort of creepily stalking him. Oh, you think she's talking to Velen, but her attention is obviously diverted elsewhere. It goes both ways though. I mean, it looks like Illidan's engaged, but maybe he's just... Anyway, Maiev stalks him a little bit more in the Cathedral of the Eternal Night dungeon, and then, well, that's about it. I mean, Illidan says it himself.
The hunter is nothing without the hunt.
And he's been freed since the Nighthold raid. What's Maiev to do now? Especially now that Illidan's long gone. And she didn't even get a goodbye crystal. Illidan's brother? Sure. The one that got away? Understandable. But the champion got one over his cell buddy for over 10,000 years? Dude, that's cold. With Maiev just getting left behind like that. So those were some of the loose ends left in Legion, and I'd like to hear about a few of your own favorite storylines that you think will have no hope of ever being truly resolved. Share yours in a comment below. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, be a breezy and press that like and subscribe button. That way you can get more of this and all things World of Warcraft. I'll see you in the next video, but until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.